fun to do bad things, but I wanted to do hood rat stuff with my friend.
17 members and associates of the Hells Angels are facing criminal charges in a violent attack.
Federal agents allege the outlaws sold drugs, traded firearms, and engaged in insurance fraud and even tampered with government witnesses.
We have learned there is cell phone video as well as surveillance video of evidence in this attack.
The U.S. Attorney characterized today's raids as historic, the largest federal bust on organized criminal gang activity.
Retaliation is common for crimes involving biker gangs. However, it could happen anywhere because of how interconnected gangs have become nationwide.
The 3-year investigation resulted in 42 federal indictments on a variety of charges, including racketeering, money laundering, drugs, gambling, insurance fraud, and extortion.
There's a bunch of bikers up here, and they're shooting guns and stuff. I need the police now.
But on foot going towards 2nd Street. Okay, receive.
Then you see a pack of Hells Angels going by, people are going to want to look. Next thing you know, cars. Because they're just staring at us and not paying attention to stop traffic.
If you wanted to break the law on an everyday norm, you should have joined a street gang. That's what they're known for. That's what they do. You're not allowed to steal cars on my block. We steal those cars.
I mean, it was so bad by us in Vegas. I was in the pool swimming, and the guys came back. Hey, Pee-wee, the cops are here. They want to talk to you. I said, well, go talk to them. Find out what they want. And they came back. They go, they want to talk to you.
Typically, if you leave the club, if you haven't been in for 10 years, you're automatically out back.
Got put out in 2006. Back in 2007, wound up going into Cannon. 2011. Came out of there. I had 4.5 years to walk off with zero support from that club.
Welcome to this episode of Chatting with Stacks. I'm your host, Bill Stacks, and today we're going to talk about the Outlaws in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where all this viral video happened, and these 6 men are in some deep trouble. We're going to talk about that and the history that they have in Indiana. We're going to talk about Sturgis today. We've got a lot of things to talk about. Shout out to everyone that takes the time to watch this show. I appreciate you. Thank you. We're growing at a fast pace. Lindsay, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for everything you do for this channel. I appreciate you. Gator, what's going on? Virginia, Chaos, what's good? Happy Monday. Dean, what's good? Menace here from Chicago. Glare 1%, what's going on? Thank you. Who gifted me a membership? Thank you. Slow Rides in the house. Apollyon, what's good? Hardwire, Mad Tink. Yeah, Lindsay gifts a lot of memberships. Shout out to Lindsay. Thank you for gifting the memberships. I appreciate that. We got a lot of content on members. I'm going to be dropping another video right after this on members if you want to check it out. We're continuing Jeremy's interview. I got tons of interviews lined up. You guys will like these interviews. I interviewed this guy who has a podcast called The Lighter Side of True Crime with Keith Raniere. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that, but he interviews serial killers, all kinds of different people. I interviewed him. We talk about his show and a lot of the people that he's interviewed, and it's pretty good. So there's clips of him interviewing these people, and they usually don't go on podcasts and things. He interviewed BTK and all kinds of different people. So I talked to him, and there's clips, and it's a pretty good interview. That one's going to be dropping after Jeremy's, but if you're on the members, you'll get to see it first. Here's a clip of a shout out from Keith. Shout out to Keith. Go check out his channel, The Lighter Side of True Crime.
Hey, everybody. This is Keith from The Lighter Side of True Crime, and I am chatting with Stacks.
Hey, welcome to The Lighter Side of True Crime with Kai the Hatcher-wielding Hitchhiker and Keith Rovier. Smash, smash, smash.
It's a great interview. That one's coming up. probably in like 4 or 5 days. But if you're a member, you'll get to see it first. It's going to be dropping soon. So today, shout out to everybody that's in Sturgis right now. You know, Sturgis is going until the 10th. It started on Friday. I hear that there's a lot of accidents already, a bunch of fatalities. So a lot of people already lost their life. And it's pretty crazy. They go up there to have fun and they'll never come back. Like this, I seen a woman posted a video of her husband, and it said, "This is the last time you ever left." And he jumped on his Harley and he left. And she had the Ring doorbell camera of him driving away on his Harley, and he never came back. But anyway, there's a lot of arrests and different things going on. People are getting their bikes towed. Quite a bit of people are getting their bikes towed. But I have a clip of the news from Sturgis. Let's check it out. Hit that like button.
Crime statistics for the first day of the 85th annual Sturgis Motorcycle Rally. Crime is down overall compared to last year's first day. Yesterday, police responded to 1 call for theft, 1 call for fighting, and 5 calls for an unwanted or intoxicated person. 13 drug or paraphernalia arrests took place. 5 of those were felony arrests. 8 people were arrested for driving under the influence. Sturgis Police Chief Jody Van Water said these numbers are fairly low, and he's hoping the rally remains relatively peaceful and crime-free throughout the rest of the week. Van Water mentioned he expects this rally to have a higher than typical attendance.
On my way into work this morning, there was traffic. There's motorcycles, cars, campers. People are coming into town in droves. The main arteries are backed up, and that's a good sign that it's going to be a big rally.
Sturgis Police will continue to release daily crime statistics throughout the rally.
Hey, shout out to TCG. What's going on? Thank you for joining me today. And if I haven't told you guys, go donate to the GoFundMe page that Jeremy has. He has a GoFundMe page to help him with his medical expenses. He had something wrong with one of the nerves in his back, and he couldn't walk for like a couple months. He was paralyzed. So he's going to get some medical procedures done, and he needs help paying the bill. So the GoFundMe is in the chat. I'll put a link in the description of this video if you want to help out Jeremy. And if you can't donate, just share the page. It's much appreciated. Everyone can use help. This is the 85th Sturgis rally. So it's been going for quite a while. This is the 85th. Is Sturgis still an 81 rally? I don't know. You guys know there's a new kid on the block, and I hear that they're going there this year, so who knows? And you know, if anything pops off, which I hope it doesn't, I hope it's peaceful, I will be the first to report on it. So if you see something that says breaking news, you already know something transpired. Hopefully there isn't any of that trouble, because we don't like to see that type of stuff. We want to see peace between all these clubs. There's no reason for the violence and people to get hurt. But anyway, so the Outlaws are going to be honoring Ozzy Osbourne. They're having a thing where riders are going to be... The Outlaws pay tribute to Ozzy Osbourne at his former home. It's Saturday, the 23rd of August. 100 bikes will be riding past Ozzy's home at 1:30 p.m. If you guys haven't seen this, you can check this out on Facebook. So the Outlaws are paying tribute to Ozzy Osbourne. And today, speaking of the Outlaws, we're talking about the Outlaws in Fort Wayne, Indiana. They've had a pretty rocky past out there. You guys know that there's a viral video of 6 men allegedly, I mean, it's on video, beating a black man, and it sparked outrage. I honestly don't think it has anything to do with race. So an Indiana bar is under fire after a viral video circulated of an unarmed black man allegedly getting jumped by white men. On May 30th, the fight broke out between customers at Pike's Pub just before midnight at Fort Wayne. A bystander at the bar recorded the altercation on their phone and shared it to social media in a viral video clip. The black man is seen talking with a few white men before others get involved. Right before things escalate, one of the men involved can be heard yelling, the black man, "You pay your fucking tab. Pay your tab." Before a domino effect of white males begin hitting and tackling the victim while allegedly hurling racial slurs. But it wasn't the people that were attacking him that were hurling the racial slurs. They came from the table on the right. If you're watching the video, there's a table of people on the right, and you can clearly hear that the racial slurs are coming from that table. And they're like, "Get him, get him." So the white men who allegedly attacked the black men are believed to be a part of the Outlaws Motorcycle Club. I mean, that's pretty easy to identify considering they all had their cuts on. I mean, that's one thing I never understood. Why would people do things with their cuts on? It's like, it makes no sense. So, since being posted, it has gone viral and garnered many other opinions online. One Facebook user shared the video captioning it, "Pike's Pub, y'all disgusting. I hate it here, Fort Wayne." Like Ward, people are outraged at the events that took place at the tavern. It has not opened since this incident happened. That's them outlaws. A lot of them are racist. That's why their bars are in them areas, one person commented. I honestly don't think they're racist. Why would the black man even be there if they were racist? I honestly don't. And they accept black members. I've seen black outlaws. So I honestly, I don't think it had anything to do with race. It could have been a white guy and they could have beat him up. I mean, you know, when race starts getting involved, people get really touchy on the subject. You guys seen them white people that were just jumped by a bunch of black people over in, where was it, Ohio or something like that? Where's the outrage? Nope. The mayor comes online and she's like downplaying the whole situation. But if that was a black person getting beat down, it would be a whole different story. And they try to make it like you're supposed to be ashamed to be white or something like that. Definitely not. I'm definitely proud of who I am, and I have no hatred towards anybody. If I don't like a certain person, it doesn't matter what color you are. People, I treat them all the same. It doesn't matter who you are, what ethnicity you are, has no bearing. That's just me. I can't speak for other people. But people are outraged about this. It took 4 of them. I saw the little one rounding up his buddies before confronting the guy that was jumped. So it took 4 to 5 guys to jump on one guy's. If he didn't pay his tab, shouldn't the owner have just made sure he did without violence? That's what someone else commented. So bar patrons are now police, another person wrote. As soon as he saw the big-ass Trump sign, he should have known better. Get out of here. Whoever wrote that is just stupid. The white men were wearing black leather vests with the word outlaw on them, leading police to believe that the men were recognized as biker gang known as the Fort Wayne chapter of the Outlaws Motorcycle Club. In 2013, the group was involved in criminal activity as they were connected to a federal case. An affiliate engaged in extortion and the distribution of prescription drugs. So that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about their history in this part of town. So they raided their clubhouse at one point because of a bunch of different things. So Outlaws Motorcycle Club Eastside Den was targeted in a massive 2012 raid by federal agents. If the weather is warm enough and you visit the corner of East New York Street and Jefferson Avenue, in the after-school hours, you find children swinging, sliding, and screaming with joy above what used to be the stomping grounds for the notoriously violent motorcycle gang. Commons Parks shares the same plot of land as the Outlaws Motorcycle Club Old Den, now demolished, was targeted as a major federal raid in July of 2012. Authorities at the time said it was the city's largest organized crime prosecution coordinated at the federal level. A fishy car insurance claims 2 years prior by some of the gang's members sent federal investigators snooping around their activity. Law enforcement uncovered crime after crime along the way: drug trafficking, extortion, violent threats of violence, and illegal gambling. It all culminated into an indictment of 42 gang members and accomplices that in July of 2012 sparked a flood of agents to descend not only on the Outlaws Eastside compound, but on the Outlaws sites in Ohio, Illinois, and Fort Wayne. So this was a massive sweep. Hundreds of agents participated. 41 people were arrested. The lone fugitive, Terrell Adams, turned himself in to authorities and was booked in the Marion County Jail days later. Agents lifted pool tables and signs with the skull from the Eastside property. 5 motorcycles were also hauled away on a tow truck. So they were in there taking all kinds of stuff. These are pictures from when the raid happened. And they happened in a couple different towns. So this building used to be their clubhouse, and they since then, this is no longer their clubhouse. They seized that building. They demolished the other one. So the prosecution helped elevate the profile of 2 high-level elected officials in Indianapolis: Marion County Sheriff Kerry Borcell, who was the Southern District U.S. Attorney Marshal at the time. He oversaw the 2015 demolition of the compound, and Mayor Joe Hogsett, who was the U.S. Attorney of Southern District of Indiana when the raid stuck in 2012. Hogsett said in a statement at the time the Outlaws were a dangerous criminal operation that was well layered and sophisticated as most businesses in the city. This morning we closed down the business for good, he added. No, you didn't. At Commons Park inauguration in 2018, Hogsett joined neighborhood kids as they tested the new play structures. He was seen sidestepping across twine rope bridge, smiling at thrills much smaller than one that brought law enforcement partners to the East New York Street 6 years prior. In some ways, the origin story began Common Parks. The raid that preceded it starts with U-Haul collision. In 2010, the Outlaws member Richard DeMarco promised $1,000 to an unnamed individual if they rented a U-Haul truck and crashed it into a specific car. And that's what sparked the investigation. In the specific car where DeMarco and his colleagues, Taser, whose real name is Stephen Duff, Spider, real name Joseph Alarcon, and Joshua Bowser, no known nickname, the individuals slammed the U-Haul truck into the back of their vehicle on March afternoon. When police officers arrived at the scene, the four told the officer they were injured. It marked the first step in an insurance fraud plot that ended with DeMarco receiving $47,000 from State Farm Insurance, and Bowser received $18,000 from the same. DeMarco used the money to do what most outlaws might do with a windfall of cash. He bought a Harley-Davidson motorcycle. The insurance swindle opened up the door for law enforcement, according to the 2012 interview with Assistant Attorney Brad Blackenson. Until the car collision, there was a lot of dormant stuff, he said. The car crash was the first real conduct that we could get a hook into the organization with. From there, they zeroed in on the underbelly of the Outlaws' extortion scheme, drug deals, and promises of violence. Federal informant detailed crimes that played out in dive bars across Indianapolis, and in one critical instant, a basketball gym parking area. In January 2012, Bowser and another outlaw member, Stephen Reynolds, met with an unnamed individual in the firehouse parking lot in Fort Wayne. They confronted the individual about a debt. Dressed in attire bearing the Outlaws insignia, they threatened that things would get ugly if the individual didn't pay up. The individual started to pay. He paid $800 to Bowser at a biker saloon in East Indianapolis. They paid $400 during another encounter at a tattoo parlor in Fort Wayne. You fuck up and I will come find you, Bowser told the individual. Bowser also described the individual, his tenant, making people disappear if they fucked up. When the prosecutor announced charges against the Outlaws a few months later, it was revealed that the individual was an undercover federal agent. And these guys were paying him, or he was paying them. They were threatening a federal agent, and they were paying the Outlaws. So they got him. And that's usually what they do. They bring money to the situation, and they place themselves in a situation, and they throw money at it. Whether it's through them getting extorted, or they say, oh, we take stolen property, or, they buy stolen motorcycles, or anything like that. Stolen weapons. That's always their tell. So if someone's coming around and they're throwing around a lot of money, definitely question their intentions, because 9 out of 10 times they are the feds. Now this is the aftermath of the situation. In July of 2012, the raids kicked off, unraveling the club's East Side headquarters. When the long civil forfeiture process in East New York Street compound ended with the seizure by authorities in 2015, the club's members still living there took down their outlaw sign out front, a symbolic end to their heyday. Neighbors spotted the last outlaws carrying grills and smokers with them, and they vanished from the property. The raids also had critics. Some nearby residents had grown accustomed to the biker parties. Members were seen as neighborhood vigilantes. In my eyes, they were good people, the neighbors said. After the raid, they kept this part of the neighborhood pretty safe. They don't bother anybody. Perhaps the best equipped to eulogize the group's East Side Street was Bob Hammerl, a veteran Indianapolis defense attorney who once represented some of its members. In an interview, he said he gave a nod to the unruly spirit of the gang while recognizing its criminal tendencies. Let me put it this way, he said. In 2012, I got to know those guys from afar over a 10-year period or longer. Let's assume there is something of an afterlife. There is no question at all that all of these outlaws will be found partying in the lower rung of Dante's 7th level of hell. It's simply what's destined to happen. And that's coming from their defense attorney. So this is here is another article from when all this situation happened. Feds raid motorcycle clubhouse in Indianapolis, Fort Wayne. Dozens of people connected to the outlaw motorcycle gang were arrested during early morning raids Wednesday, and federal prosecutors were aimed at dismantling the criminal organization, where violence was part of doing business. An indictment unsealed Wednesday shows 42 people, alleged gang members to millionaire CEO, were facing a wide range of charges, including drug trafficking, extortion, money laundering, witness tampering, and illegal gambling. The charges, which come after more than a year-long investigation, were filed in U.S. District Court. All kinds of people from different walks of life were involved in criminal activity, the district attorney said. Brad Blackington, the lead prosecutor in the case, every member of the Outlaws Indianapolis chapter are currently in custody, along with several gang associates, he said. Members of the motorcycle club chapter in Ohio, Illinois were also arrested. The U.S. attorney said during a news conference to Indianapolis to announce arrest. Only one of the suspects remained at large Wednesday following the raids. Indiana cities and towns that involved more than 300 officers from federal, state, and local law agencies. The raid netted about 35 guns, including several assault rifles, about $14,000 in cash, and more than a dozen motorcycles. Damn, they confiscated their motorcycles, too. No contact information on the Outlaws website. Phone messages left by Associated Press and some people named in the indictment were never returned. A spokesperson for the county jail in Indianapolis, where all the suspects were taken, said it wasn't clear if any of them had an attorney. Court documents didn't include any information. Investigators said the gang's criminal operation included using violence to collect debts, insurance fraud schemes, and running illegal gambling. Page 70 in the indictment also alleges the gang's drug trafficking, including cocaine, prescription painkillers. Joshua Browser, the first suspect named in the indictment, among those facing the most serious charges, was described by authorities as the gang's enforcer, among other things. It is accused of conspiring with a businessman, Charles Ernest II, who Blackenston described as a billionaire CEO, to extort money from a person who declared bankruptcy after Ernest gave him a loan. Ernest also is charged. Michael Allen issued a statement saying that his client has pleaded not guilty and will vigorously defend himself in court. Damn, so he gave one of the outlaws a loan and he got arrested because he claimed bankruptcy. So it must have been some type of scheme or something. There was no home phone number listed for Bowser. The authorities didn't know if he had an attorney. The other suspect is in the hospital, is a hospital employee accused of being involved in trafficking prescription drugs, investigators said. The suspect is still at large. 28-year-old Terrell Adams is being sought on drug charges and isn't an outlaw member. Prosecutors said investigators used various ways to infiltrate the gang, using wiretaps, drug buys, and an undercover agent who posed as an extortion victim. Basically, the FBI and other law enforcement agencies threw the kitchen sink at these folks. More than 300 local and federal law enforcement raided in Indianapolis and Fort Wayne sites Wednesday that are tied to the outlaw motorcycle gang and rounded up members to face charges that remain sealed. The U.S. attorney said in a statement that the operation was the largest federal crackdown at the alleged gang activity in Indianapolis history. The office scheduled a news conference for later Wednesday to discuss the case. An outlaw clubhouse in Fort Wayne was among the sites that were raided. FBI agents boxed up evidence and searched the building with a dog, while tactical officers stood outside. They told the news that the agent also raided the outlaws' location in Indianapolis, but he said he couldn't comment further because court documents were sealed. Last year, a federal judge in Virginia sentenced the outlaws' national president to 20 years in prison on charges of racketeering and conspiracy to commit violence in aid of racketeering related to a violent turf war with the rivals, the Hells Angels. 14 gang members in Indiana and Michigan pleaded guilty in 2009 to charges including assault with a dangerous weapon, cocaine, marijuana distribution, and possession of hashish. Federal prosecutors have described the outlaws as an international criminal organization. Sounds like they had it out for these guys from day one. But they basically dismantled the whole club in this. And that assault on the video, right, is just the beginning, because they're going to go after them. Just because of that video, it just sparked everything. Just like the shooting that happened down there in New Smyrna Beach, that sparked off the whole Mongolian beef thing. And I hear that that's not done either. I hear that they're going to be raiding more clubhouses and more people are being wrapped up in that. So it just continues. But here's a newscast from when all this transpired. Let's check it out. Hit that like button.
What exactly are the outlaws?
News Channel 15's Adam Widener has been looking into that question, and he continues our team coverage of the raids live from Studio 15. Adam?
Well, according to the FBI's indictment, the Outlaws are an international motorcycle club known for drugs, violence, revenge, and other illegal activities. One of their chapters is here in Fort Wayne, as you heard, but neighbors living near their building have mixed reactions to this morning's raids.
I was sound asleep. 6 o'clock this morning, wake up, hear a big boom.
They were raids heard by folks all around Fort Wayne's outlaw chapter.
Breaking down the front door of the house. They took a couple out in handcuffs under their tent they just put up last night.
According to its website, the Outlaws are an international motorcycle club with chapters in Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, and Northwest Indiana, including Gary. The FBI says you have to own a Harley-Davidson or American-made motorcycle to be in. Members wear leather or denim vests with skull and cross pistons. Officials say it's a criminal organization known for drugs, violence, extortion, revenge, and other illegal activities.
I don't care for it, but I think everybody in the neighborhood knows it.
But behind the police activity, it's an organization that gets a mixed reaction from the nearby community. Some neighbors say the Fort Wayne Outlaws don't cause many problems.
Quiet, usually during the day.
But after the raid, others say they're thankful and not surprised.
No, it doesn't surprise me any. I mean, they're known to break the law and stuff, so It's normal.
Fort
He
Wayne
said
agencies
it's
stormed two
normal.
different locations in our area. Not only did they hit the headquarters, but officers targeted a nearby house on Elm Street.
Yeah, definitely don't have any trust in law enforcement. You know how they do. They'll fabricate evidence. They'll do all that shit. And I think it's entrapment for them to bring someone who allegedly has money around people to try to entice them to do some criminal activity. That's straight up entrapment. I don't know how they're able to get away with that. That's what they all do. I mean, I interviewed the undercover that went undercover to bust the Hells Angels up there in Canada. And he told me that. He said that they throw money around and entice them to do different things. And money goes a long way. Like, money can facilitate a lot of things. But anyway, the Outlaws are 90 years old. So they're a pretty established motorcycle club. They're probably one of the most well-known clubs in the world. And everybody knows who the Outlaws are, just like everyone knows who the Hells Angels are. But they are one of the oldest clubs out there, 1% clubs. They were created in 1935. So what is that, 90 years, right? 90 years. The McCook Outlaws, established out of the Matilda's Bar on Route 66 in McCook, Illinois, outside of Chicago. Says although the club stayed together during World War II, like most organizations at the time, the club activities were limited. In May of 1946, the first major post-war motorcycle club event in the Midwest was held at Soldiers Field in Chicago. Now, this is coming straight from the Outlaws website. It says in 1950, from its original chapter members in 1935, the club grew in size with members from all over Chicago area. The club decided to change its name from McCook Outlaws to Chicago Outlaws and move out of McCook, reestablishing itself in Chicago. It was decided to comply and change the club's logo. Completely change the club's logo. They replaced a small skull was replaced with a winged motorcycle, and old-fashioned style lettering were adopted. This design was embroidered on a black shirt and hand-painted on leather jackets. So it used to not be patches. It used to be painted on jackets. In 1954, the cross and pistons to the original small skull, the design was embroidered on a black Western-style shirt. And then the movie The Wild Ones came out. 1959, the skull and cross pistons were redesigned, making it much larger and more detailed. In 1960, the AMA, American Motorcycle Association, that surpassed all official races, that supervised all official races in the U.S., banned the word outlaws from all racing clothing. Therefore, all racing club members wore the signed OMC on their outfits in 1963. In 1963, the Outlaws became the official members of the 1% Brotherhood clubs, making it the first true 1% club east of the Mississippi. Here, I'll show you what their first logo looked like. It's pretty wild. I mean, their history is pretty wild. And this is directly off their website. This is one of their first logos. You guys can see that, right? So this right here is when they first were established. These are their first members right here. And this is 1946 at Soldiers Field in Chicago. You see their logo? It's way different. It says Chicago on the top. And this is way different from what it is now. In 1964, on the 4th of July, the Gypsy Outlaws from Milwaukee joined the club during the Springfield Motor races in August. They are followed by the Gypsy Outlaws from Louisville. They had no former contact at the time with the Milwaukee club. The Outlaw Nation was founded from Chicago as Mother Chapter. 1965, on the 1st of January 1965, the AOA, American Outlaw Association, was born. The backpack of the club, skull and cross pistons, is named Charlie in 1965. In July of 1965, the Outlaws' international president and a few more members came down from Chicago and were the first chapter sanctioned in Florida. Damn, they've been in Florida for a long time. I wonder if they were the first club in Florida. Does anybody know if the Outlaws were the first club in Florida? Travis, what's good? How are you? Stacks, interesting thing of this club's history is only verbally passed on. Some books have been done, but it is one-sided and usually missing context. 100%. Oh, they're not the first club in Florida. Does anybody know who the first club in Florida was? It's just so loud. What's going on? Shout out to North Carolina. Does anybody know the first club in Florida was? So in 1977, the first chapter outside the U.S. was in Canada. The Saint Choice became the Outlaws. In 1984, the first-time member not belonging to the mother chapter becomes national president. So before 1984, they had to come from the national chapter or the mother chapter. So for the first time, a member not belonging to the mother chapter becomes the national president. In 1989, the abbreviation MC is added to their back patch. Damn, they didn't have the MC before that? $1989. France becomes the first European chapter in 1993. This is Australia's Outlaws. 1994, the Australian Outlaws was formed. So in 1995, as the Chicago chapter is growing, it splits into three groups: the mother chapter, south side, the west side, and the north side. I did not know that. Norway becomes the second European chapter in 1995. In the year 2000, Outlaws MC, still independent MC, joined the AOA. Yes, there is a lot of other clubs that use Outlaw in their patches. I want to say the Golden Eagles Motorcycle Club was the first one. Yeah, the Warlocks started in the 60s. I think 67, right? I'll tell you right now. Yep, 1967. So the Outlaws been down in Florida way before the Warlocks were even created. 2001, many countries in Europe starting new chapters. Ireland and Jersey. So in 2002 is when the Black Pistons was formed, and that started in Germany. That's pretty wild. Other countries in the U.S., Canada, Great Britain, Poland, and Norway followed them. That's pretty wild because they're a pretty well-known support club for the Outlaws now. I mean, just think about it. In 10 more years, they're going to be 100 years old. What do you call them then? Puppet club? I mean, what do you call them? That's what they are. They're a support club. So here is all their the transition of patches. That's pretty wild. It used to be the McCook Outlaws. And then it went to a skull with no cross pistons and then morphed into that. That's pretty wild. Their history is pretty wild. I think it's pretty cool, the history of these clubs. They get a bad rap. You know, something like what happened in that bar, it shouldn't have happened. The bottom line, that shouldn't have happened. Now that's going to put a stain on their reputation for a long time. Oh, it's called Affiliate Club. Hey, it is what it is, man. Puppet club, support club, it's all the same. Same difference, right? But they don't like being called that. I don't know, man. I mean, that's what they are. It is what it is. Started before that, I believe. They just went international. It says here they started in 2002. It says February 19th, 2002 is when the Black Pistons were created and founded. They were founded February 19, 2002, when 5 chapters of a club were established in Germany. It says right here, they're an official support club for the Outlaws Motorcycle Club. I mean, they might not like being called that, but that's what they are. It says it right here. Yeah, it's pretty wild, right? That they're that young. Yeah, clubs around here wear outlaw affiliated patches. Yeah, the club that you're a part of, Travis, they've been around for quite a while, and it's pretty crazy that some clubs aren't like support clubs. They don't wear that cookie for other clubs. I'm sure it has been presented. Like a lot of clubs don't wear that. I'm sure it has been presented to a lot of them, and they're like, no. I've had quite a few different club members on the show who are active, and I asked them, have they tried to instill that on your club? Like the KOSA. 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 Oh, you're not a club member? Oh, I thought you were Travis, the dude I interviewed. KOSA. I interviewed him, and he said that a lot of outlaw clubs, 1% clubs, tried to make them a support club, but he's not into being a support club for any bigger club because they take some people who were prior club members from different clubs, and he said they're just not into being a support club for any club. Hey, if a club doesn't want to be a support club, right? You can't make them. But that's what he said. He said in what was it, in London? They were, I believe it was the Outlaws, were giving them a hard time because they didn't want to be a support club. Most support comes from clubs starting out on their own. Diamonds let them, but after a few years, other clubs start pressing them, kind of fall back and become support to have help. Yeah, but there are some that aren't support for any club. They're independent, and they're a diamond club. I know of a couple. I know of quite a few. There's so many clubs out there now. It's insane. It is really crazy how many clubs are out there. There used to just be a handful. You didn't hear about all these clubs, and now, I mean, look at just the law enforcement clubs. I don't think they should be allowed to join motorcycle clubs. I think if you're an active police officer, you shouldn't be able to join a motorcycle club. And a lot of them, it seems like they want to be 1%ers, especially that Iron Order. How they gonna cosplay and dress up like bikers on the weekend and then go arrest people, bikers on the weekdays? Just makes no sense. Matter of fact, I'm going to be doing a show about the situation with the Iron Order killing a Mongols member. I believe it was in Utah, where I think the guy was a corrections officer, I think. And he killed a Mongol member at a event for motorcycle clubs. And he got let off. They let him right out the other side of the cop car. They put him in one side and let him out the other side. And he walked away from the situation. They never charged him with murder or anything. Colorado, that's where it was. I have somebody that was there, and they're going to walk me through what happened, what they seen. So that one's going to be coming soon. But anyway, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for joining me today. What do you think's going to happen with the Outlaws out there in Fort Wayne? This case is it's pretty crazy. They're looking at an uphill battle. But we'll see what happens with all of them. I appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this show. don't forget, check out Jeremy's interview. I think it's part 3 or part 4 is going to be dropping tonight at 10. And if you're a member, I'm going to be dropping on one of the episodes right after I get off here. I think part 4. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you. I want to say rest in peace again to one of my good friends, Matt Granahan. He passed away. Sending prayers to his family. I appreciate his friendship. And if you guys like this show, hit the like button, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you could get my videos every time they drop. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell your mother's, brother's, sister's friend about Chatting with Stacks, the dopest motorcycle content on YouTube. If you want to donate, you can hit up the Cash App at Chatting with Stacks. And if you want to be a guest and tell your story on Chatting with Stacks, just email me at BillStacks2021 and we will make it happen. If you don't like this show, too fucking bad. Start your own podcast. I appreciate all you guys. And remember, don't be a bitch.
And all new at 5, a major organized crime bust. 23 people under arrest now accused of stealing guns and cash.
Today, police revealed 4 organized crime groups are wreaking havoc.
From aggravated robbery to kidnapping, burglary, and more. Let's take a look at this. New pictures from court documents in this case. These are a few of the people who have been charged. And investigators say the money, tens of thousands of dollars, is all stolen.